So let's start with the lower level lesson first. Here I've got a picture of a family, and the first thing that we want to do is situate it. So in the lesson, we ask the learners to think about some questions like, what's happening in this photo? It's a selfie, but what's actually happening? Why are they together? Who are each of these people in relationship to each other? Maybe what are their names? So in doing so, we get to realize what students' sort of perceptions are about families kind of going into it by looking at this. And maybe not their perceptions solely about families themselves, but at least about families in ELT materials. So as I mentioned, asking the students who's who can reveal what students expect are the natural relationships between family members here. Not to mention the fact that I asked, to name each of these people as well, and that can reveal something quite interesting too. Finally, I'm gonna tell you that there's somebody missing actually from this occasion. So if you look around the table, I want you to think, okay, who do you think is the missing family member from this picture? Next, we see a picture here, and we move to a telephone conversation. And so we can play it as audio or perhaps as a text, but let's do an audio, or let's pretend it's an audio. And so the students then hear this conversation. So it's a transcript that I'm going to show you. And so we hear bring, bring, cell phone. And Jody looks at the incoming call and sees that it's Sadia. So Jody, in a kind of Italian accent, says, "Hey, babe, how's the shift going?" I'm not going to do it for you. Sadia, with her Brazilian accent, then says, "Hi, honey, we're really busy tonight, lots of calls. Right now, we're just taking a quick break. I got your photo, thanks. Looks like everyone's enjoying themselves." Okay, so at this point, we can start to recognize that the photo we just saw is the photo that's being talked about here. And so Jody obviously is the one who took the photo and sent it to Sadia, as Sadia is just saying, "Oh, great, thanks." Jody, yes, dinner went well. I was just brewing some coffee. The bolo de rolo you made was amazing. Of course, Juliana loved it. Here we can see some of the household activities and progressive verbs that we mentioned are the target language that are happening. You'll note that bolo de rolo is at least some dish, if you can't figure out from context which dish it is, but it's some dish anyway. So we can see that English isn't solely used. Well, it is what she asked for instead of cake. Okay, so now we can see that it is a kind of dessert. Is everyone behaving? Well, Mom and Uncle Franco have been talking about politics, of course. Ah, ha, ha, ha. Ah, ha, ha, ha. Your mom can't help herself, can she? Is Lucas being good to Joanna or Juliana? Yeah, he's being surprisingly nice to his sister, but right now they're flipping through the channels to find something to watch. I think they might argue soon. Dad's getting all the gifts ready, so maybe we can open them up before that happens. Auntie Paloma's cleaning up, of course. I told her not to bother, but you know her. When do you think you'll be home? Oh, probably around 8. So I should go, though. I'll see you soon. Okay, love you. Bye. Love you too. Okay, so this is the phone call that they're going to hear, or if you choose in the text to read through. And we can see now it's about that photo that we just saw, that selfie that we just saw. And, taking a selfie at a family occasion is quite authentic. I mean, I've done it several times, and I've posted it to Instagram. And sometimes I've posted it to someone who isn't there. But we can see that Sadia is working, and so that's the reason why she's not at this meal. We can also see all sorts of target language that's coming up here, all the progressive verbs that are included. We can see the different household activities that are being mentioned. and there's more of them to come. And we can actually start to identify all the different people that are in the photo as well. So as part of a comprehension activity, then the students would then need to hear and take notes, maybe read that transcript, and start to answer some questions about who's who. And so on the materials, they've got a space where they can label the name of the person, but also the relationship of that person to the rest of the family members. And so we heard Franco was one of the names, so that's that guy there, and he's the uncle, right? Oops, let's go back. What I think this will reveal, interestingly, is that what was the perception of the students about who all of these different family members are? Who did they think was missing from this group? Does that reveal anything about a status quo or a marginalized experience? I would say probably. Did they assume that the names of all these people were different than the names that they actually were or are? And even what type of occasion is happening here? That can reveal what a sort of typical version of this family might be perceived to be instead of what it actually is. So now with the target language, of course, they're exposed to some of the target language here, but a follow-up activity then could be talking about Sadia's afternoon. And so before Sadia went to work, what did Sadia do during the afternoon that led up to this occasion? What types of household activities did she do? Did she bake the bolo de riolo? Did she have some interaction with her kids, her wife, her mother-in-law, and I think what this can really do is bring out not only an awareness of sort of the similarities between her life and, say, the students' lives themselves, no matter whether they are identify as LGBTQ or Black or Brazilian or Italian. So they can see that there's probably some similar things that are happening in her lifestyle, but maybe also they can start to think about ways in which Sadia might experience the world a little differently than everybody else. Now, of course, the final activity really in a disruptive approach is to think of ways in which we can improve the status quo so that everyone feels more belonging. And I don't think in this particular situation at this lower level that that's a super realistic goal, given the amount, of language that people have available to them. But I would venture to say that the next time students think about what families are, what family relationships are by default in their ELT materials or just around them, they're going to start to, double guess what the default type of family is, what those relationships are, who even the names of all these people are. And so I think the disruptive aspect here is really raising that awareness in the learners themselves and starting to help them see how a different family may experience the world around them.